Okay, we are live now. Let me pull up a chat room just to see if anybody jumps in there because this was an unannounced show.
Okay.
But I need to record it live because Justin TV actually records the show for me, so I don't have to record it locally. So,
Okay.
1 second here.
And you're using a tool called bennycams.com?
Minicam, yeah. That's what I'm using to send you the video.
Okay. Because it shows up on the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, I kept it on there because it's free, so I'm just going to give him credit.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready to start?
Yep.
Okay, let's do a level check real quick. Can you do a check 1, 2, 3?
Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. How are you today?
Okay, good. Here we go. Welcome to My Hard Drive Died, episode number 14. My Hard Drive Died is a show which we actually haven't done in a while. We'll try to remedy that. Where we talk about hard drives and basically have the world's eminent hard drive expert, Scott Moulton, come on and just talk about so much, give you so much information about hard drives, how to fix them, things that could go wrong with them, how they're constructed, the new technology, that it will blow your mind. I guarantee it. Let's introduce the man right now. Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. Doing great, actually.
It's good to talk to you again.
I know. I miss you.
Yes. Yeah, it's I think we did one at the beginning of December, but or somewhere around there. But yeah, it's been a little bit more than a month since we've done one.
Yeah, we'll keep doing them. We'll get them out.
Yes.
We'll get them out as we can.
Yeah, it's obviously with the travel schedule and things out of town, it's a normal thing for me to try to get on when I can as soon as I can. And I've got some upcoming announcements and stuff that I can talk about too that are coming up in March.
Oh, good. Why don't we go right into that then?
Okay, all right. Well, a friend of mine and me put on a conference here in Atlanta that's called Outer Zone. And so Outer Zone is going to be March 19th. So basically it's the 18th and the 19th. We actually have kind of a get together on the 18th. And then on the 19th, we actually have talks. But it's in Atlanta. We rent a hotel that's near the airport. And we have a 1 day conference, basically. It's a donation con, basically. You don't have to pay anything to go. You can just come. So I'll be giving a talk on hard drives there, obviously. So anybody that wants to come and see anything about hard drives, that's the day to come. So March 19th, you can go to outerzone.org and we're going to start putting the information up there. The only thing is zone is spelled with a 0 instead of a O. So it's outerzone, ZONE.org.
Gotcha. And where is that again? What city?
It's in Atlanta. It's right next to the airport. So off of Virginia Avenue, there's a hotel that we rent there called Wesleyan Inn. And they have 2 rooms, so we can have a game room, and we sell T-shirts and a bunch of other things as well. And then there's a room that holds about 100 people to actually do a conference so that everybody can do talks. And we'll have about 8 to 10 speakers that particular day.
Oh, cool. Are you going to cover anything specifically about hard drives or just a general talk?
I have this talk that I just did at Shmoocon this weekend, which was jammed right up on basically my development stage, trying to get the items developed and getting them done. And so basically I'm going to be improving this one, adding some more content that is related to flash animations and things like that on hard drives. And I try to animate the entire talk. And right now I've got about 6 minutes of animation in my current talk. And it took every day pretty much since December 5th or so to render these animations to get what I actually just added into these talks for Shmoocon, and it finished like Wednesday night. So I will be adding more content between now and then, and so I will do an enhanced version of this talk, which was it's about spindle replacement, bearing replacement, fluid dynamic replacement, that kind of thing for repairing hard drives.
Ooh, that sounds pretty
Right.
meaty.
Yeah, there usually is a good selection of speakers. A lot of people who've been to cons know a guy named Billy Hoffman. Usually he does one. on web development and some web content. There's a couple other really good speakers. There'll probably be something on IP version 6 also at this one. So it's usually a really good gathering of 100 people or so.
Sounds like fun. So outerzone.com, right?
Outerzone.org. It's
Outerzone.org,
right,
Z0NE.
right, that's correct.
Hey, why did you render? You must have rendered that on a Mac, didn't you? That's
Actually, it was not rendered on a Mac.
really.
We used four, anywhere between i5 and i7
Are
machines.
you
Some of them
serious?
are 5 cores. Yeah, it takes roughly what you're looking at when you're doing rendering for animations. And if anybody's seen my previous, I have 4 or 5 animations that I've done that are like full 1 hour talks. Basically, what ends up happening is it takes 1 minute per a single frame in order to render. So even if you throw 4 or 5 machines at it, you're actually rendering 1 frame per minute. And it takes 30 frames per second in order to actually have a second of animation. So for every second you need, it's 30 minutes rendering time.
Dude,
And that,
that can't. I mean, that's not a standard.
yeah,
What resolution are you rendering at? Are
we
these
were doing it. Yeah, we were doing it at 1024.
okay?
And we were using Cinema 4D, which is
Mm-hmm.
a high-end
Mm-hmm.
package for producing movies and things like that. And yeah, pretty much everything that we've done, even over the last 3 or 4 years when I did all the other animations, it pretty much worked out to, minute, minute and a half per a frame for us
Wow.
to render this. And so the best thing you can do is distribute it across multiple machines. So every single, I mean, because we're also rendering shadows and
Right.
resolution, changes in angles and cameras, and so there's a lot to it. And you can see it as we showed some today. But basically, what ends up happening for 6 minutes of animation in this particular one, that's 10,800 frames. So that's roughly 180 hours of rendering time. And that's if you don't make a mistake. If you don't say, "Hey, there's something wrong with one of these frames, and I need to replace it." So when you've got to go back and try to weave them together and repair some of these frames to make an animation, it's a tremendous undertaking. And then you have to go through the whole process of integrating them together, weaving them together so that they make sense and
Yeah.
and put them off in one particular thing.
That's hardcore. With these machines were probably sweating for weeks. Did they live?
They did live, but yes, it was pretty rough.
Okay.
There were times, they crashed or bombed or, there was too much going on, but it was a pretty stiff undertaking. And I wasn't able to bind them together like I did in my previous animations. We actually wrote before in my previous 4 or 5 full animations, we wrote our own framework for Flash. And so Flash would actually be the player and it would do the whole thing and we would have them scripted inside of ActionScript to actually make these things play it on certain frames.
I see.
This time we used Adobe Captivate basically, and we put them all together in Adobe Captivate. And because it was only 6 minutes and I'm giving a 50-minute talk, I also used some development pictures inside of it to show during me repairing this hard drive what I'm actually doing and what those parts physically look like. And so Shmoocon was the first place that I presented it this past weekend in Washington, D.C. So the slides and the videos are going to go up here shortly. The only downside is I did all this work, and I have a associate of mine. His name's Michael Tilson, who does most of the modeling, does all the animation, did the rendering, and put all this stuff together for me. And ultimately we did all this work. And at Shmoocon, while it's a great con and everything, this particular time I got some the crappy projectors, the ones that are darker and the slides kind of didn't look so great on the video. So yeah, there was a lot of complaints from that standpoint. They're really bright on the screen. You'll see them when you actually show some animations here, or when we actually post the slides up online. They're bright, they're clear, they're colorful, but the projectors at Shmoocon this time were kind of pathetic. They weren't the best.
Damn, no, they look fantastic. I've seen them. They look great.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
thank
It's a
you.
shame the projectors bombed over there.
Yeah,
But
it happens.
yeah, sucks.
Yeah.
At least you
Well,
have them done and created, and you could distribute them at other conferences and different places.
yeah, it'll grow as time goes on, and we'll expand this material. This was the maximum I could do. I mean, I thank Shmoocon for having me back. I've been there. I've given 4 or 5 speeches now, and I love Shmoocon. It's one of the best conferences, and certainly is one of the better put together, more professional conferences I've been to. So I'm happy to have been there. Next time, hopefully, I'll just get the brighter projectors.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Um, what did you want to go over today, Scott?
Well, basically, I've spent the last 3 months or so kind of developing this process for rebuilding these platters that I presented at Shmoocon. I have also done some other work. Last week, there was the DoD, Department of Defense, cybercrime conference here in Atlanta. So I did some new material and did some diagnostic stuff for that cybercrime conference. So one of the first things I did was I developed this new flow chart, basically, which is kind of a mapping of my mind to try to show in a diagnostics mode when you're starting to go through hard drives how you progress and think through these things. So up on my website there is a link to this, which most people also notice. I have a new website.
Let's
What do
check
you,
it
what do you,
out. Let me show it right now. I think it's fantastic, man. Who made that logo? I love it.
I hired a developer in Australia, and we worked on it for about 2 or 3 months simultaneously while I'm doing all this other stuff. Basically, my goal this time, I had a pretty ugly website before.
Yeah.
We focused a lot on being able to do, Twitter and LinkedIn and, Facebook links and things like that. So there's bars down there. Everything is database now. That was one of the things. My old site was really becoming very difficult to maintain because things were, updated basically in the page. So this is all done physically in Drupal now. So everything's in a database. I can do blog postings. So the menu bar now is changed to reflect that. So now you'll actually see on the menu bar we have the blog postings. There's the presentation page is better, and now the individual items can be added in the presentation page. And so the presentation page is kind of the meat and potatoes right now of the free material. I certainly have other stuff there that's for pay, but on the presentation page, this is pretty much all the free stuff. So as you scroll down through this page, you'll see I've got links. Like one of the things is all my previous presentations and source material and stuff for the talks I give it away for free. So there's a link on that page that says that it's to the files. So there's basically a My Hard Drive Died files area now that basically dumps to an FTP site,
I
and you
see.
can go ahead and pull that. So it says My Hard Drive Died file resources, and there is a spot right there where you can click on it, and it'll take you to hundreds, if not, thousands of megs of files that are there from previous stuff that I've done.
Damn. Guys, get that while you can.
Yeah, it's hopefully it'll be there for a while. Right now I'm hoping that GoDaddy doesn't, beat me down too much on my bandwidth. Uh, and then also you'll also see the advanced slides and the advanced content that I did for the DoD last week. It's right under the recent content / talks. There's two items that are underneath there, underneath the YouTube channel, which one of them is the advanced diagnostics speech slides, and then the flowchart itself. And so you can click on those and download the flowchart and the slides. And now the flowchart, as you are displaying now, basically the flowchart goes through from the beginning to the end, just kind of the different problems that I run into when things aren't working. The goal for the flowchart and for those particular slides is to stop people from just massively trying to rip apart the drive and replace parts.
I see.
This has become much more common now for people to go, hey, look, I just want to, take this board off and swap it or do something else with this board. And it's not always the case. It's not always something that you have to replace. There could be some sectors that are actually in error. There could be some other problems. But there's 4 basic things that you're looking for there whenever you're trying to do data recovery, that even if those 4 things come up, basically you could possibly have access to the data, even though you might not be seeing it. Maybe you need some other equipment or there's a firmware problem. But in those instances, changing out equipment is probably not going to help you. So typically what you're looking for would be model number, serial number, geometry, and, and for the drive to come ready, basically. And I go through the process of describing that in the slides and how a drive actually comes ready, how you can tell when it's ready. Because really the drive can respond and give you a ton of diagnostics information. And actually on every single sector actually has a breakdown inside the sector of how to reply and tell you an error code. But none of the software and none of the devices that we have out there that are just public domain devices, in other words, Windows and Linux and a lot of the other tools, don't display any of that content. Even diagnostics tools, when you get to the microscope, I bought a tool called Microscope or some other package out there. they don't display those error codes. So typically